Well, good morning to everyone here from Pattaya. This is Sandy and we're Talk of Thailand, and today's video is about retiring here in Thailand, and particularly retiring here in Pattaya. And during this video I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, because I've been retired here about 8 years now, so it's a fair time. I live with my wife and my daughter here in Pattaya, or close to Pattaya anyway, and life's been pretty good to me, and I'd like to maybe indulge myself by giving you a little bit of an insight into my life here with my family, etc., and what we have here, and it may just give you some sort of idea or flavour of what you might want if you're going to retire here in the future. I will also discuss various things that you ought to consider, for sure, consider closely before you retire here and think about the various aspects. And then at the end we will discuss the elephant in the room, so to speak, where we will discuss where it can all go wrong and where it has all gone wrong for several people, and what you should think about there. And there is some very valuable information in that part of the video that I hope you will take on board if you've got, and adjust your plans accordingly to what I'm saying and to what you're thinking. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope the information is useful. So let's get on with the video. Okay, let's start with where I have settled down in this wonderful country of Thailand. And I've settled in Pattaya, about 10 minutes from Pattaya centre, in a lovely secure village that has a school, unfortunately a French international school. It's very popular, big playing fields here with tennis courts and volleyball courts, etc., football. If you live in the village, you're welcome to use them. Excellent facilities round about, as I say, secure. We've got a lot of senior army people who've got their houses here. And this is a nursery school for the youngsters up to 4 or 5 years old, I believe. It's very, very nice. A nice secure facility inside the village here. Wonderful, actually. So there's many things for families inside this village if you want them, and very happy to live here, for sure. Actually, this is one of these generals' houses there. I see the blue and the yellow up there, but one's a yellow Thai flag. But I think that's probably up there in support of Ukraine and the current problems are here. Quite often, if he's in residence and he's got people staying with him, there's an armed sentry on his gate as well. This is our community centre. There's also got various classes in this building for music, etc. Various music, I think, piano, violin, and keyboards, electric guitar, classic guitar, bass guitar, drums, and also a language school if you're interested in learning the language. But this is the bit that we use the most. A little swimming pool here, which is perfect. It's only 1 minute's walk from the house, so all part of the village. I think there's about 60 houses in the village, and probably a lot of them have got their own swimming pools, so it's never really very busy when you come round here. There's plenty, always quite quiet and easy access. You sometimes get a few kids here, which is good, because they're happy together. This is me back at our happy home here. That's our pickup. We park it out in the street so we get more room inside. And our 2 motorbikes, the wife's motorbike there and mine, the one in front. We sometimes bring them in of an evening, but being a secure village here, then it's not a big problem really. So my boxer dog is waiting to meet me there, and I see the Pomeranian there also. They're the two youngest dogs we've got. So this is the little veranda that we built outside the front door here, to keep the dogs out if we want to sit here and do something, and not be disturbed by the dogs and that coming in. The parrot seems to, our parrot Chaba, tends to rule this area of the house. She's out there, and there's the wife out there. She's busy managing her front yard. She likes to move all her plants around. She enjoys working out there actually. It's all good for that. And this is why I prefer a house to a condominium, because one, I don't like heights, and two, I like to have my animals around me. Having a daughter 20 floors up in a condominium just wouldn't sit nice with me at all, even though she's sensible, etc. When I look down, I don't like the sight of it looking down, and I'd be worried all the time, worried sick what she was doing. When I retired, I realised it was important that I kept myself active and tried to keep mentally and physically fit. And I've more or less done that well by teaching English and making educational videos also. Not so much the general videos here, it's hard to keep them up actually, particularly when COVID was here, but the educational videos has kept me going. But I haven't been so good until recently about keeping myself physically fit, but I'm in the process of trying to change that at the moment, and you'll see in a minute the exercises I do every day now, and I enjoy doing them now, and I feel a lot better for it. So we have 4 dogs. This is Daisy, our boxer. She's the youngest one. She's been with us. She was the last one to join us. Our oldest one is Charlie, the English Cocker Spaniel. She's about 11 years old now. She's been with us since she was a puppy. But she's really showing her age now, you know. And we've also got a small Chihuahua. There's the parrot, Chaba. She's an eclectus parrot from Australia. She's fully flighted, but she prefers to walk everywhere. She only flies when it's necessary, but she mixes in with the dogs very well actually. Yeah, we got a Pomeranian, which is Sushi, and we got a Cocker Spaniel, which is Toffee, and we got the older dog, which is Charlie. So that's the animals. They all get on fairly well actually. But it really makes their life enjoyable here. So, as I say, life is pretty good for me at the moment. Sandra, my daughter, is she'll be 7 years old next month, April, and I've been married with Em about 8 years now, and I've been with them for about 12 years, I would say, about 12 years I think up to now. Very lucky that she was attracted to me by my boyish good looks and my old world charm, she said, you know, if you think like that. But that's a serious point that we're going to come on to in a moment, and I think it's if you're looking for company out here, it's something you've got to consider very much, because I realise what I donate to this relationship, and we've been together a long time now, and we are very, very close. I will say that, and I enjoy it very much. We have this outside sitting and cooking area here, where we spend most of our time when we're not sleeping. We're out here in the fresh air. It gets too hot inside, you know, 8 months of the year. We're talking temperatures of nearly 40 degrees, so it's much more comfortable to sit out here. We do have an internal kitchen as well, and we could eat inside, but as I say, far too hot for that. And we've kind of adapted our life now. We've settled into our routines, etc., and we eat what we want, and we do what we want, and We enjoy life together, I'm sure, including my daughter. Pattaya has been rated as the #1 tourist city in Southeast Asia, and I can understand that. It's certainly #1 here in Thailand. It has everything that a tourist could possibly want. It has nearly anything that anybody could want, actually. And I enjoy it here. I lead a much quieter life now. I don't drink so much. Very rarely drink, actually. I've really changed my ways of thinking. Very rarely now do I go downtown by myself. And only then I would go if there's somebody here on holiday from the UK that I know. Then I have gone down and had a couple of beers with them whilst they've been here. But otherwise we go out as a family, etc. So this is my morning routine now. I do quite a few squats and a few other exercises before I head onto the rowing machine and pretend I'm on one of the Oxford Blues in the London boat race there, and racing with Cambridge up the Thames. I realised some time ago I was beginning to lose my balance and things a little bit easier, and you've got to be very careful walking around Pattaya because the roads and the pavements aren't so good in places, and I did have 1 or 2 trips and falls that got me concerned. So now I started working out every morning, not too much, just a bit, and getting my squats and my rowing going, and it certainly helped me improve my fitness, and I feel a lot more confident now when I go out walking. Old age doesn't come by itself, you know, and I'm very much aware of that, and now trying to keep myself reasonably fit because I want to carry on as long as I can. I actually bought this rowing machine several years ago, to be truthful, and it sat here dormant and nobody using it at all, despite all the good intentions. And it's only in the last few weeks that we're working out, and even Em, my wife, she's doing a bit of it now as well, and I think we're all, I don't know if enjoying it's the right word, but we're doing it anyway. As you can see, it always attracts the parrot and the dogs round. What are we up to, etc. What are we okay? Are we losing our marbles? Yeah, the animals watch us, what's going on here, so to speak, but it's enjoyable. Diet-wise, living out here in Thailand, you know, fortunately I love Thai food. In fact, I love food from anywhere, to be truthful. So yeah, the food-wise, if you're coming to settle down here and you can only eat UK food or European food or whatever, then it works out a lot more expensive. We have a big market very close to us where we can buy most of the stuff we want very, very cheaply. But as I say, I can eat anything, but I do like to have my Farang food, as they call it here, the UK food or expat food. I like to have that occasionally as well, so I don't forget it. And I do miss it. I miss some of the foods that we can't get easily here. But we get most things. You just have to pay the premiums for what you want, and that can be expensive. Maybe I should also talk about prices here in Thailand, you know, because prices have increased quite a lot.
What do you do, guys?
The same as they've gone up everywhere in the world, I think.
It's okay, go see daddy. It's okay. Go see daddy.
Before the COVID pandemic, things were a lot less expensive, and we used to do a lot of travelling, etc. But since COVID's come along, and even now that we're kind of over the bulk of it, our travelling's been very much restricted. Albeit mainly because Sandra goes to school, I suppose, and that keeps us busy here. But also, where we used to be able to travel up to Am's village in Surin, up north, about 700 kilometres away, we could do that fairly regularly and without thinking about it too much, because fuel was not so expensive. But But unfortunately, it is a lot more
Charlie,
expensive
go see
now.
daddy. Charlie, go see daddy. Charlie, go see daddy. Come on. Come on. Come on. Charlie, come on. Charlie, in. Come on. Charlie, in.
That's our old Cocker
Charlie,
Spaniel.
come on.
She's been a lovely dog in her time, but all the younger dogs seem to respect her, you know,
Charlie,
at
yeah.
the age, but she's nowhere near as
Charlie.
mobile as she used to
Come
be.
on. In. Come on. Come here. Come on. Charlie, come on. Come on. Look.
So that's giving you a brief insight into my life here, etc., in retirement. As I say, I keep busy with my schooling and with my educational videos, etc. But I enjoy not having to work under pressure anymore, and I can enjoy life as well. If I don't want to do anything, I don't do anything. I just sit and we'll talk to them, and we'll go down the beach. We go down to the beach fairly frequently, at least once a week at the moment. And it's nice to sit down now and have a cold beer and watch the world go by, etc. During the week, there's nobody there. And at the weekends, it's mobbed because everybody comes down from Bangkok and other areas of Thailand. They say that I'm just reading today that the bars in Pattaya 90% open now, and that's well the case, I think. But that doesn't mean to say 90% of them are busy. I would say about maybe 30% are busy, and the rest are really eking it out to try and survive through till it gets popular again, if it ever does get popular again in that manner. And I strongly don't think it will. Anyway, let's move on from here now. Now that you've seen a little bit of my life, let's go on and let's talk about what you should be considering if you're coming to live or retire here in Thailand. So there we go, folks. That's a good look round. Good look round the house and a little bit of an insight into the way I'm living here. So let's talk about the points that you need to consider if you're thinking about retiring or coming to live here in Thailand. And these are the main points I'd like you to consider first. So first of all, visa requirements. You need to get your visa requirements right, and some of them are quite harsh actually. For instance, if you're thinking about retirement here, you will have to have a Thai bank account, and you will have to maintain 800,000 baht, which is it's about, I don't know, maybe about £20,000 or thereabouts, or maybe slightly more. It's a lot of money anyway, and that's got to be maintained in your account here in Thailand. But check into it. But before you even come here, you've got to get a non-immigrant O visa from your Thai consulate in your own country. So you come here with that, and then which gives you several months, 6 months, I think, to stay here, and then during that time you can apply for your retirement visa, or whatever you're planning to do. There's other options, of course. There's education visas. You get a year there. You get a year for a retirement visa. If you're married to a Thai lady, then you can get a marriage visa. That's the type of visa I've got. So there's several options there, but you need to start off with this non-immigrant O visa, and you can get a multi-entry one, so it gives you more than one entry. So you increase the time you can actually stay in Thailand with that. So look into it, it's important, and you've got to get that right. As I mentioned before, cost of living here has increased dramatically, and I do know a lot of people that have retired here, then they retired here with minimalistic pensions that are now suffering, and some have gone back and others have done are suffering, and several have found other ways out that I don't really want to talk about at this moment, but it's I will be covering that when we talk about the points at the end. So the cost of living has gone up dramatically, and it depends what you're coming here for. If you're coming here for a quiet life and you don't want to be, you're not want to be partying, and you don't want to be out with the girls every night or things like that, then maybe it's not so bad. You know, I don't find it so bad. But I do have a few expenses. Like I've got my daughter's schooling, etc., and several aspects like that. I'm fairly fortunate that I own my house here, and don't let people tell you can't own a house in Thailand. You can. You can't own the land for sure, but you can buy a house and you can have that value of a property and the land for you to leave to whoever you want to leave it to. Obviously, when I go, my family will be the ones that benefit from it. But there are other ways that you can buy a house, and if you want to know more, then drop me an email or put some comments below, and I will get back to you and explain the way I do it. This is my third house in 20 odd years, I suppose, and I've never had a problem, and it works quite well for me. So that's it. Health insurance, now that's a big one. That's a big one, you know, because although many countries, particularly the USA, think that the medical side of life is very reasonable here in Thailand, and it is, I suppose, but not when you've got the NHS back in the UK, which is free. You won't beat that. And if you're coming here and you're over a certain age, then health insurance is expensive. Another drawback is that they may still ask you to pay a hefty lump up front before they start taking responsibilities for it. So health insurance is a big aspect, and that catches a lot of people out. Once again, I'll talk more about that at the end, but it catches a lot of people out. I know people that say, okay, if I have a problem, I'm going to go back to the UK and get it sorted out. And I know guys that have done that. I know guys that have developed cancer and serious cancers, and they've got on a plane and went back to UK for 4, 5, 6 months, etc. And then now most of them are back here. Some of them have passed, but a lot of them are back. A lot of them are in a poor state actually, but they're back here and they're finishing off their life here. But they've had the majority of the treatment in the UK because they couldn't possibly afford it here. And I know a lot of guys that have also said, well, if something happens to me, then I'll go back to UK. But if you have a heart attack or you have a stroke, there's no way you're going anywhere. You're here, and you've got to find a way to pay for it or not pay for it and accept the consequences. So health insurance is another big aspect that you've got to consider. The parrot was coming to join me. Culture, yeah, you know, you really need to think about this. You know, if you're not used to living in countries like Thailand and other countries abroad, you've got to think about the culture. You know, the culture is completely different, and it makes the people completely different. And you know, I hear a lot of people here blaming the Thais and blaming the bar girls and all the rest of it for the problems that they're experiencing and the problems that they've had. They blame everybody else except themselves, and they haven't really researched what they're coming into and what they need to do and how they need to live and what they should do before they get heavily involved, etc., and settled in here, because it's not UK, it's not Europe, it's Thailand, and there's a lot of things change here. The non-so-educated blame the Thais. I blame them because they haven't done their homework before they come, and it is consequential. So, climate, yeah, a lot of people, that's one of the big attractions to me here is climate, but for 7-8 months of the year, it is very hot. It is hot, and I'm not somebody that likes to take a lot of sun. I can take a lot of sitting in the shade and enjoying the sun, But if I spend too long in the sun, it can make me. It's made me seriously ill on 2 or 3 occasions. So it's another thing to think about. If you're careful, it's no problem, and you know. Air conditioning's a must wherever you stay, etc. Although some people get away without it, they live with a fan. But climate is a big thing. Heat stroke and heat exhaustion, etc. Is to be considered. To me, it's good. I get a problem now if I go back to the UK in winter because I'm acclimatized to the warm here. As soon as I get off a plane and it's ice cold, I have problems. I have problems breathing because the cold air in my lungs, painful. It is painful, and within a few hours I start getting joint pains and etc. My joints, my knees and my elbows and things like that. It's hard to become reacclimatized to the cold after you've been living here, for sure. Social support. You know, if you're coming here and you're on your own and you've been here and maybe had 1 or 2 holidays and thoroughly enjoyed it, etc. When you come to live here permanently or retire here, you've got to remember it's a different world, and you know the holiday, you can't stay in holiday mode all your time here, or maybe you won't exist too long if you're going to serious holiday mode. And you've got to calm down. I found that out. As I said to you before, now my life's much changed. I'm quieter. I don't go downtown. I very rarely have a drink. But so saying, after that, I've got my can of Chang here that I'm going to have very shortly from the fridge. I bought some cans in because I knew all the bars were closed today, and if I decided I wanted a can of beer later, then we wouldn't even be able to buy one in the shop. So we bought some yesterday and put them in the fridge, just in case. So social support, yeah, it's good if you come here. You know, there's lots of things you can get involved in. There's expat clubs, there's bridge clubs, and there's golfing, and there's cycling, and there's all sorts of things you can do here to meet friends and to meet people and to make friends, etc. There's a British Legion; they're always looking for people. As I say, there's expat clubs, etc. Pattaya Sports Club, that's a club that's set up and they run golf and bowls and things like that. So there's plenty of opportunities to meet people and maybe make friends in due course, and you should do that. You shouldn't live alone or stay without any human support, because I know a lot of guys that have done, and it can lead to mental problems and social problems, and it can be quite serious in the end once again. And the last one of the common points I've got here is property ownership. You know, property ownership. Well, look at you know, you can't own condominiums, but what do you own? You own you can't have the ground floors. There's certain condominiums that can be designated for expat owning, but you know, you're only owning a piece of space in the air somewhere, and there's no land to it, etc. A lot of people are happy with that, you know, and a lot of people are happy I see a lot of people come here, and this is no audible either. They're happy with their condominium. It's got a nice gymnasium that they never use. It's got a lovely swimming pool that they very quickly get bored of, and then they're sitting in a box room overlooking the high up, overlooking the sea, where the sun's beating in all day, and they're cooking, and the room's cooking, and they've got these big heavy metallic curtains to keep the heat out, so the rooms are dark all day. So you've got to go out, and even if you don't want to go out, you've got to go out, etc. That's not the sort of life I could live. And I see a lot of people that come in and think, oh yeah, this is ideal for me, it's got a swimming pool, and etc., etc. But you know, the majority have very small condominiums. There's as little as 28 meters squared, 25 meters squared I've even seen, which is very, very small. And you do get big, luxurious ones, of course. It costs many millions of baht, and some millions of dollars and pounds, so you can get these huge ones as well, which are a different life, but it's what suits you. But I see, as I said, I see a lot of people that have these condominiums and they're in there and they're staying there, and then they start buying clothes and they start buying things, and they get their computer in there and blah blah blah, and very quickly they've run out of space, and then they're thinking, oh, they can't swing a cat in there, and there's not much cooking aspects, and it becomes totally unsuitable very quickly. And then they're looking at what they can rent. When they're renting, they're looking at renting properties, maybe something like this or something smaller than this, like I live in now. But at least it gives them on the ground floor, it gives them a little bit of a garden. They can have a pet. A lot of people like their pets, the dogs or the cats, etc. And some condominiums actually allow you to have certain pets, but many don't. Many pets are out of the question. So it's all what you want to do. It's all how you want to live. And you've got to think about, how do I want to live? If I'm going to retire then, what do I want? Number one, what do I want? What do I want from Thailand? Do you want company? Do you want to meet another lifelong friend that you're going to spend the rest of your life with? And that's possible, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. But are you happy? Do you want to bring are you coming out as a couple? What size of property are you going to need? What about transport? Transport. How are you going to get around? So, are you going to be in the centre? So you don't need transport, or you're going to be on the outskirts. I'm not too far, as I say, it's 10 minutes down on my motorbike, or in the car it's down 10 minutes down to the city centre, which is okay for me. And we've got 2 motorbikes and we've got a pickup as well, so it's not a problem. But this is all things you've got to consider. So if you're going to rent, then please take the advice that everyone gives. Just rent or buy. Try it out. Certainly don't buy it till you're totally happy with where you are and the facilities you've got and the travel you've got. Don't come out here and buy straight away. Look around and rent for a little while and see what you actually really want to have in the end. So that's accommodation. Once again, any questions you've got, please email me or put the comments down below. I'm happy to answer you and happy to give any advice for anybody that's coming here. So now, let me have a little drop of this beer here, just before we move on to the elephant in the room. Cheers. Tastes good. Tastes very good. Okay. You know where it all goes wrong here, and it goes wrong for a great many people. And I want to tell you something right away. You know, there's some weirdos here that have a joke about the Pattaya Flying Club, and that's because there's reportedly at least one suicide on average a week. Of people jumping off their balconies in these high-rise apartments. Various nationalities, they said, but Thailand doesn't like to talk about it. They try not to let it be known, the number that are doing it, and they don't want to put people off. And the condominium owners certainly don't want to have it blaring out how many people are jumping from their balconies, etc., or being assisted off their balconies is also rumoured. Anyway, the Pattaya Flying Club, it's a bit of a sick name, and but it's very true. And it's like other forms of suicide. There's many people committing suicide. I believe you can actually go to some places in Bangkok and buy these drugs that similar to what the vets put the animals down with, and it puts you into a coma pretty quick, and then it kills your nervous system, and within half an hour you've moved on out of this world. And I hear quite a few people actually have chosen this method of going. And there's other areas, people crashing their cars or jumping off of bridges or drowning themselves in rivers, etc. There's lots of it going on. And as I say, there's 3 main reasons why this happens. So think about this carefully, because the first reason is and maybe the other two come back to this as well, is lack of money, lack of finance. They thought they had enough to last, and they thought they could survive on what they were getting, but maybe things weren't going quite as well as they thought, or maybe they've had extra expenses that they didn't expect, and all of a sudden they're running out of money, but they've given up everything at home and it's all gone, and they've got no options left. They don't want to go back, they can't really go back, and that's a problem, but they can't afford to stay, and they've got problems here, so the only option they've got left is they're between a rock and a hard place, and you can guess yourselves what the outcome of that might be. So money is the first one. The second one is health. Health, as I mentioned before. Many people get health problems here, the same as they do anywhere. You're getting old. Old age doesn't come by itself. It brings its own problems, and sometimes things happen, strokes, heart attacks, cancers, and these things all of a sudden crop up, and if you haven't got health insurance, etc., which a lot of guys don't have because they just can't afford it, once you're over a certain age, and the premiums are ridiculous, and what you've got to pay up front before the insurance cuts in, then obviously that's quite high as well, and that's maybe unmanageable also. So a lot of people have got their plans on how they're going to deal with their emergencies, and it does cause a lot of emergencies. And I see people going back to the UK and never coming back. I see people going back to Australia and America and never coming back because they've got health problems. They go home to get it sorted out and never come back. I don't know how they get on when they go home. Maybe they get health and they recover a little bit and can carry on for a while, but because they can't afford it here in Thailand. But as I say, the ones that get caught out by the things that they can't travel, they can't move out, then they've got their own ways to get out of it, and once again, a rock and a hard place. So that's the second reason. Now the third one is the most common one, and that's the breakdown of relationships, and maybe relationships that never even got properly started because people didn't plan. I really get fed up with hearing guys complaining about Pattaya bar girls and how they've fallen for a bar girl, and it's cost them money, and they've lost everything, and they're having to go home, or they've lost their houses, they've lost their cars, they've got no money, etc. Why did they blame them? They're the ones that walked into the honey trap. They've not done it properly. You know, I see guys coming out here and they're here a week and they're engaged in there. They don't know anything about the girl. And even worse, they can't even communicate properly. A lot of them, they've got no communication whatsoever hardly with the girl. She can't speak English, and they can't speak Thai. And that's another thing, actually, I would strongly recommend. Parrot wants to come back. I strongly recommend that you do make some, if you're going to come here and live, you do make some effort to learn a little bit of Thai. If you're living here, you can do 10-15 minutes a day, a word or two a day, you know, and after 6 months you'll be speaking a bit and you'll be getting understood, and people will be impressed with you. That's what happened to me when I came to work here, you know. I landed here and I had no Thai ability whatsoever, and I ended up as general manager of this company in Rayong, and I had 150 workers, and they gave me one little girl from university, just finished university, that could speak some school style English, and I was trying to speak to engineers about construction and electronics and engineering and all sorts of things, and she couldn't help me with that, so I had to help myself. But I was living here, so I didn't find it. But once I sort of said to myself, okay, you've got to do it, you have to get grips of this language, then I started, and within 6 months, I was fairly proficient, not only in coming and speaking, but I was also making the effort for the reading as well, and being able to read Thai and write Thai, and that was all coming along very, very well. Unfortunately, once in '98, when I went back to Europe, then I let the reading and writing fall away a bit. I still know a bit, but not so much. I'd have to do some homework on that again. But because I've always come back to Thailand frequently right from the start, I fell in love with it, and I've holidayed here regularly, and I've always intended to retire here when I finished. Not everything's gone perfect. A lot of water under the bridge that I can't get back, but I'm still here, and I'm enjoying my life. I've got a lovely family, and I've got a nice retirement here, and I hope it goes on some time. So I think I've said enough, and I think you get the inkling. Please, 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 if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Drop me an email, put a message here. I will get in touch, and we'll exchange emails, etc., and we can talk. And I'm pleased to help anybody that's coming here with whatever. So keep in touch, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching.